Isolating the lower abs. I'm going to show 4 exercises and I'm going to do some technique talk on how you can isolate those lower abs. Let's get started. Exercise 1. You can have your hands on the floor or your elbows. Either starting position is fine. You've probably seen this one. It's where you're retracting your knees as far as you can go toward your upper body, extending your feet away from you as far as you can go. Tip 1 to isolating the lower abs with this exercise. Raise your heels off the floor. It's a bit of an upward motion with the heels for the first part of this. What that does is it engages your lower abs. It forces them to be the lever to raise your legs, okay? So raise your heels up and then retract your knees inward. I try to keep my heel about in line with my knee. So I'm not like this or like this, roughly about in line. So again, tip 1, heels upward. Tip 2, as you bring your knees inward, imagine as if you have a target on your sternum or on your belly that you're trying to hit with your knee. What that's doing is that it's forcing you to keep your center of gravity low, and it's forcing you to keep your lower abs engaged. So tips 1 and 2, again, heels up off the floor. As the knees come inward, imagine as if you're hitting a target, because that's going to keep those abs engaged, the lower abs especially. If you're not doing that, and you're just kind of kicking your legs in and out, you're going to use more of your hips, your butt muscle. You're not really going to use as much abs. So make sure you're focusing on those 2 tips for that exercise. Exercise 2, hip switches. We'll start here. You're going to lay down, palms on the floor, extend your legs upward, have roughly a 90-degree angle between your legs and the floor, bottoms of your feet at the ceiling, have your feet about in line with your hips or your butt. So for this one, you're going to lift your butt off the floor just a little bit, okay? You're not coming way up here. That's not engaging the lower abs. So you're just coming a little bit where your butt's off the floor, a little bit of your lower back. It is not a rocking motion. You're not bringing your feet toward your head, okay? You're coming up. That's why I say keep your feet in line with your legs. With your hips or your butt. So upward motion. If you are new to this, you may need to push off the floor a little bit to raise your butt. As you get experience, you should be able to take that away. Okay? But starting out, feel free to push down on your hands. So you're going to lift your butt up just a little bit off the floor, and then you're going to pivot your hips to either side. Tip 2 to this exercise, as you pivot, really turn your butt toward the left and toward the right. So, hips up, pivot, and then down toward your hand. And then you go hips up, pivot, down toward the other hand. So it looks like that, okay? The reason you're doing those 2 things, keeping your legs in line, your feet in line with your hips, and raising your butt and lower back just a little bit engages your lower abs. But when you do that pivot and you really pivot your butt, you're engaging your love handle area. So make sure you're focusing on that. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to just like rock or just like shoot up and then drop your butt. Okay? If you're doing something like that, you're not using your lower abs nearly as much. You're not isolating them. So focus on those 2 tips with that exercise. Okay, exercise 3. Looks very similar to the hip switches, except in this case, we're just coming up and down. We're not doing the hip switch. This is focusing on the lower abs. Same thing as I said earlier, just come a little bit off the floor. It's not shooting your feet back at all. Keep your feet in line with your butt. Try to come up and hold for a second. If you can hold it, you know you're engaging your lower abs. If you can take your hands away, then you know you're getting no assistance. You're really isolating those lower abs. Okay, next exercise. You're going to lay on the floor, hands down, keeping your heels off the floor, and you're using your lower abs like a lever to raise and to lower your legs. So you're coming up to about 90 degrees, and then lower back down. Go slow at first to make sure you're isolating the lower abs, and then you can speed up as you'd like as you get more experience with that exercise. You can play with the range of motion, you can go short range, You can go longer range, but start slow and make sure you're engaging your abs the whole time. And what I mean by that is, for one, do not just shoot your feet up. If you have that rocking motion, you're probably using your hips more than anything to just shoot your legs and rock. That's not engaging your lower abs. And don't just let your legs drop. Make sure you're actively lowering those legs. Those tips will help you to really isolate and engage those lower abs and give you better results.